My name's Alison Gartshaw and I'm production designer for season 3 of Bridgerton. I'm here to show you some of our sets today.
Action. All right, let's cut.
So here we are in the iconic Bridgerton drawing room and morning room. This is a space that we've used over the 3 seasons. It's a classic set for us. The Bridgerton drawing room and morning room was designed in season 1 by Will and Gina. As you can see in the space at the moment, we have a lot of floral dressing. We are in the process of dressing this set to film in a couple of days' time for a particularly special scene here. We worked on the colour palette particularly to reflect the warm, friendly nature of the Bridgerton family. Just a lovely space to be in, a sort of space that you'd like to come and sit down, have a cup of tea with Lady Bridgerton.
What about the Duke? The Duke has not proposed, Mamma.
So when we started designing this set back in series 1, we looked at a lot of architectural referencing, lots of stately homes. We knew that we were going to be using the Ranger's house in Greenwich for the exterior location. And so we had to match the window sequence to the location. And we chose the columns to give a nice sweeping arch so that we could have the morning room and the drawing room in the same space. And so we had the separation of the arch to delineate the 2 spaces. So when we're thinking about designing a space for a show like Bridgerton, we have to be very mindful of the entrances and exits for the action. So we have 2 entrances here in this set so that we can get the flow of characters moving around the space. The spaces themselves are so big that we don't actually need to have any camera traps or moving walls, which helps us with our dressing, so we're not constantly having to take walls in and out. Jeff Jur, the lighting designer for the show, designed the softbox system for all of our sets. We always have the same softbox in the centre of the space to light in a blanket way most of the space, and then the rest of the lighting is done with highlights. We do have to change elements in the set now and again when the script demands. For example, the beginning of this season, we had to have a portrait of Violet and her husband specially commissioned and hung above the fireplace, as that was referenced in the script. Currently, we have our team of dressers in at the moment. We are in progress, work in progress, as I say, for a specific scene that we'll be shooting over the next couple of days. As you can see, we've got lots of cake dressing. Our home economist makes the cakes. They're always fake. You can't actually eat them. Usually they're on a polystyrene base, but all the decoration that you see is handmade using fondant icing and real sugar craft. She's incredibly skillful. As you see, they're beautiful things. The piano here that we have is an original pianoforte. It's very old, it's very delicate. It needs tuning constantly, so every day that we have to shoot somebody playing the piano, we have to have the specialist tuner in so that it can be played. Because it's so delicate, it loses its tune so quickly.
Oh, enough, I beg of you.
The Bridgerton spaces are quite iconic spaces. We use the same mouldings throughout our sets for the Bridgerton house. If you look at all of the corridors that we have, they all look the same, and it gives us a visual hint that we're in the Bridgerton world. The same with the colour palettes. All of the spaces will have roughly the same colour palettes just to help the viewer know that they're in the Bridgerton house. There are tiny details as well that our wonderful set dressers put in and our set decoration department come up with. For example, in the Bridgerton spaces, you'll always see some shells. Don't know if you've noticed that. So here we are in Kate and Anthony's new apartments, fresh for season 3. We haven't seen these sets before. This is Kate and Anthony's bedroom. And for this set, we wanted to obviously still be in the Bridgerton world because we're in the Bridgerton house. But since they got married, Anthony became the new Viscount, and so of course they're now technically the head of the household. So we felt that they needed a new, fresh space. So we created something that we thought was within the Bridgerton world, but a little bit livelier and a little bit younger in feel. We had a scenic artist paint our wall panels. He did one of each set piece, and then we recreated that and reprinted it graphically to run all the way around the spaces. This is a seating area for Kate and Anthony, and then we have the bedroom. So predominantly in here we have the colour palette of the Bridgertons, which is the classic Wedgwood blue. with the creams, but we introduced a little bit more of a warmer tone cream, slightly peachy cream actually, for Kate. And this whole space is about the blending of Kate and Anthony's families. So it's Bridgerton meets India. We've brought in some of the warmer tones, which we had for Kate and Edwina last season, and we've married them together with the Bridgerton classic palette. We've also got hints of purple in the graphics on the wall, and the deeper pinks, which were referenced in their costuming last season. So the bed, obviously, is a classic English bed, but we have played with the fabrics a little bit. We have the paisley fabric, again, classic Indian. And then some of the detailing on the canopy, we chose specifically some of the trims which we felt reflected Indian culture quite well. Without being too over the top with it, it had to be a subtle reference, really. So obviously we have a dog bed over here, which of course is for Newton, our favourite corgi dog, which is Kate's dog, who she loves dearly. Hints of India in the set dressing. We have elephants, ivory, lots of brass, which we wouldn't normally have for the Bridgertons. It's quite a feminine space, I suppose, because Kate is quite a strong feminine character, so we felt that really their bedroom might reflect that more than Anthony's very masculine character. And through this way, we have Kate's study and dressing room. So the colours in here are warmer still. So using the same palette, but we've flipped the colours on the walls. The peachy, orangey colour is more predominant than the Bridgerton blue. Kate's now the head of the Bridgerton household, so she has to have her own working space, which is her desk here. Of course, Lady Violet hasn't stepped down quite yet. The pictures, especially in the study area, you'll notice are all scenes from India. We have referenced horses. She loves to horse ride. And over here, we have Newton the dog, of course, which was specially commissioned for us as a portrait. So this is Kate's desk. And one of the things that we do a lot of, we spend a lot of time, is the graphics. Everything is all calligraphy written. If she's working on her accounts, we have lots of accounts pages, which, should you read them, would be correct. The graphics department spend a lot of time referencing ephemera of the time and making sure that everything is period correct. A lot of it is actually printed, but when we do need to handwrite something and see that in action, we have to get calligraphers, and they have to be body doubles for our actors, of course, because they have to match. It has to look seamless, as if the actor was writing in the script. But it's very skillful, very difficult to do, and there's not many people who can actually achieve the fluidity that you need for those writing scenes. So the drapery in Bridgerton is really important for us. It's all historically accurate. The set decorator, Natalie Papageorgiadis, she spends a lot of time decorating and researching and paying particular attention to all the window and curtain treatments. They're such a large part of any room in Bridgerton that we have to make sure that the colour tones are correct for our palette. The way that the light kicks off the fabric is really important for us. A lot of fabrics look quite dead and dull on camera when they're lit, so we try and stay away from anything like that, and we choose fabrics that are slightly shiny and have a sheen so that the light catches beautifully and it helps to sculpt the space. So when we're reading the script, obviously, if you know Bridgerton, you'll know that there's quite a lot of intimate scenes throughout the series. And not to give you any spoilers, but we always have to make sure that where we have those intimacy scenes, that the furniture will stand up to the job, shall we say. So we're here on the Bridgerton set in the Cowper's new set for season 3. This is the Cowper's hallway. The inspiration for the corridor here was Sir John Soames's country manor, which is Pitzhanger Manor. It's all period correct, strangely, even though it looks more modern than it actually is. We've got hand-painted marbling everywhere. There's a lot more details to see in the drawing room, so let's go take a look. So the Cowper family, we don't know a lot about their backstory from seasons 1 and 2. We've seen Cressida quite a lot in seasons 1 and 2.
How convenient. Penelope, I did not see you there.
We understand her to be quite a difficult lady. She causes a few issues now and again. So for season 3, we see more of the Cowper family. We start to understand a little bit more about her backstory and her upbringing and the reasons why she maybe is as difficult as she is. So the space that we designed really was to reflect the masculinity and the austerity of her father. He's quite an overbearing character, it turns out, in season 3. And so we wanted the space to feel quite oppressive and quite domineering, and we wanted her to feel very small in the space. Like a caged bird, I suppose. She's usually wearing very pink and frilly costumes, so we wanted her to ping off the darkness of the walls and the space in here. So one thing that we have to do in these standing sets is to graphically design our rugs and have them printed. We always have to make our own rugs because we'll never find a rug of the right colour and design of the right size for a space. The bookcases, you see, they're very tall deliberately. We had a scene where one of our characters wanted to look at the books, and Cressida was very nervous about that because she's not actually allowed to touch the books. Being a woman, it's not her place to touch the books. So we made the bookcases very tall to make them feel very imposing for her and to fill the room. But actually, most of the books are fake. So all of these are just the backs. You can see nothing there. Where we need to pick a book up in action, we'll put real ones in so that a character can pick something up and it looks real for the camera. But that's always preset, depending on what the director, where he wants to place his shot. Sorry about the noises you hear in the background. The second unit are in. They're shooting some scenes from the ballroom that we just shot last week. So the columns, they're actually fiberglass, as you can hear, and they're all hand painted with a marble finish. We've got very, very talented painting team on the construction, guys. In fact, a lot of the finishes that you see on our sets are painted. All of the wood grain on the doors, on the bookcases, it's all hand painted. And we do that mainly because if we tried to make this with real wood veneer, it would take 100 times longer and it would cost an awful lot more. So we have to cheat. That's the name of the game. We're not making reality, we're cheating reality. But they do a remarkably good job, and I think you'll agree that you can't really tell the difference. Another thing that we always have to consider are the fireplaces in our sets. Being a period show, the main heating in the house would have been open fires.
Oh, must we sit around like statues?
We look at period fireplaces and we pick the details that suit the space. This is all made out of timber, and then it's painted and marbled to look like a marble and slate fireplace. Our special effects team had to devise a new system of creating a real fire in our fireplaces because we're in a big warehouse space and we're not allowed to vent noxious gases through the roof of the building. So we had to figure out a system whereby we could have real flames, and they use some kind of a bioethanol fuel. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's a special mix, I believe, that doesn't give off any gases. So there's no need for us to have a ventilation system, which was fantastic because that would have been quite tricky with so many fireplaces in the space. So here we are in the Featherington main hall and staircase. As you can hear next door, we are in the middle of constructing a new set. Sorry about the noise. The Featherington family, obviously, their colour palette is the citrusy yellows and greens, and they're also very, very much highly decorative. So we spent a very long time designing all the plasterworks on the walls here, and it's a completely over-the-top treatment, really. You don't normally see this many plasterworks in a space. Lady Featherington is very concerned with how other people see her. She's very shallow. She's all about wanting money, wanting power and status, wanting to get her daughters married off. We reflect that in the way that we decorate their spaces. They're always highly decorated, and we call them, in our team, the Kardashians of the Georgian era. So the furniture in here is, as you can see, sort of black and gold Versace style, based on a designer of the time called Thomas Hope, and he did a lot of black and gold and Egyptian-influenced furniture, and we felt that that reflected their characters quite well. It's very intense, it's very in your face, it's very Versace. So here we have the actual staircase, which is a suspended staircase, which means that there aren't any internal supports. So it's all hung from the exterior walls, which you sometimes find in Georgian architecture. The ironwork we didn't have made, we pieced it together from existing companies. Obviously, the symbol for the Featherington family is the butterfly, so we decorated the staircase with butterflies. Usually we use fake flowers for our floral displays, simply because they have to last for several days' worth of filming, usually under quite hot lighting conditions. And you find that if you use real florals, they tend to droop and wither over the course of the shoot. So if anything was shown in real close-up, or if anyone had a bouquet as a hand prop, they would be real.
Perhaps make the bouquets even bigger.
The Bridgerton spaces are quite iconic spaces. From time to time there are small changes to the sets, but by and large they do stay the same as a standing set. So when we started designing the set, we were looking at all the different architectural elements that we wanted to bring in here. When we're constructing a set, actually, the carpenters do their work first. They put the walls up, they put the flattage up, then the plasterers come in, they plaster finish everything. Then the painters come in after the plasterers, so it's like a conveyor belt. Start to finish, a set might take 6 to 8 weeks if it's this size. For a ballroom, it would be more like 10 to 12 weeks. They do a remarkably good job.